Good evening, everyone. This is a special board meeting, Tuesday, November 13th, 2018, called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Here. Trustee Wilson.
She's out today, she called.
Trustee Brooks.
He's out, still,
Trustee McMullen.
I'm probably late from the train.
Trustee Davis.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
And Mayor Cummings.
Present. Would you join me in pledge of allegiance, please? Thank you. Public comments? For the special meeting? For the special meeting? And then we're gonna have, okay. Action items. D1, first, second, and third reading ordinance on the Village and University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, to set a date for and to approve an A public notice of a public hearing for the TIF 7 Steger Road and Central Avenue redevelopment project area. Is there a motion?
No motion. Oh,
I'm sorry. Yes.
Forget my name. Okay.
This is to post it. Chief Payton, do you want to explain more detail? Anybody wants to know?
So the board, just so everybody's clarification.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, he wanted to explain. Oh, I have a motion.
So move.
Moved by trustee Payton. Second.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Brown. Would you like to explain, please?
The board actually has already passed this legislation.
I know.
What occurred was there is a legal technicality in the agreement that upon passage of the ordinance, that notification has to go out within, I believe, 3 days. And so the village attorney's office went beyond that time. So it thought it would be safer to repost it and have the board vote on it again than put the village at risk for litigation. If somebody was to catch that, we did not do it in a timely manner. Again, the board has already passed this. All this does is set the public hearing process. This does not approve TIF 7. This starts the public hearing process with the residents as well as the joint review board with the taxing bodies to discuss it. The only change to the ordinance is the date.
Okay.
It says it had a November date, now it's a December date.
Right, for correction. Trustee Oscar Brown?
December. Sorry, it went from a December date to a January date. My apologies, trustee.
We have to put the public notice out. Trustee Williams? Oh, okay. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Cummings.
Both sides.
Madam Mayor, that's ordinance 2018-36.
Okay. Thank you very much. And at this point, we will adjourn the special meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, first one, it says,
Point to Will, man.
where's that at? At the bottom of that? First one?
That was the last.
Oh, I don't have the revision. I'm sorry. Somebody, all of online is here. Is yours saying? No, there's only one of them. I didn't get the revision copy. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. D2, correction. Motion to appoint the village manager and the TIF administrator.
So move.
Moved by trustee Milton Payton, second. Second by trustee Oscar Brown. Question? Yes, trustee.
I'd like to know, what is that you have to do? When you said, you approve what? What do you mean?
The TIF
Appoint. I'm sorry.
That's not, it's for the board to appoint somebody to be a TIF administrator, not me. The board is appointing me as the TIF administrator.
So does that mean that you're gonna look over all the tips?
That's basically what I do now, and unfortunately, the state has very old information on file as a TIF administrator. So in order for me to submit the TIF reports and audits, the board has to take action for that to happen. Or I won't be able to file the TIF reports and audits and all that.
So you will explain everything in detail to us when it comes across for us to pass these TIF things?
Yes, ma'am.
Just make it clear.
No problem.
Okay, and just for the record, it's always been a staff person. I talked to the attorney.
Yeah, it's very typical for the village manager to serve in that role, because he'd be the most familiar with what's going on with the TIFs. So that would be perfectly appropriate and customary.
I did inquire, and it is always a staff person that's the TIF administrator, and our paperwork has not been updated for a long time on file, so that's why we did not have one on file. We had a letter, and someone was questioning who is our TIF administrator, and it wasn't anyone that worked for us for a long time. So that's the purpose of this, to make sure that we're in compliance. Okay? Any other questions, complaints, comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Cotton.
Vote time. Okay. At this time, we will adjourn a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Milton Payton,
Second.
second by Trustee Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm doing your job. Okay, thank you very much. Let's adjourn. Okay, at this point in time, we will go straight into our regular board meeting. Committee of the whole meeting, which is called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams.
Here. It's a large.
Trustee Wilson. Trustee,
She's not here today.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I want to explain for the audience.
Trustee Brooks. Trustee McMullen.
Not yet.
Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Yeah.
And Mayor Cotton.
Present. Since we did the pledge of allegiance, do we have to repeat that? Clerk, please. Okay, thank you. Okay. General public comments. I'm sure we have one. Some. I'm sorry, but before you come up, I would like to, I'm proud of you guys, Coach Franklin, but I would ask, since we do have the few people here today, it was announced that past trustee Rudez III's mother passed, and I would ask that we could take a silent moment in behalf of his mother. She passed. Could we dedicate a silent moment to his family? Thank you. Our condolences go out to his family.
Good evening, Board,
Good
Mayor,
evening, Coach.
trustees. I'm excited to announce that our varsity football team excuse me, has won the Will Cook Kankakee Super Bowl championship and has also won the American Youth Football State Championship. And these young men will be going to Orlando, Florida to represent University Park and represent the state of Illinois.
Yes.
At the AYF National Football Championship. I think that's worth celebrating, especially because these young men are not only talented on the football field, but extremely talented in the classroom. I brought them to the last meeting that I brought them to. They brought papers with their grade point average on it, just to highlight that they are all 3.0 or better, some 4.0 students in the classroom. And I just think that's exciting to see as they continue to overcome stereotypes and break down walls and break down barriers and show that we are a special group of people out here in University Park. So we are in the process of raising money to get the boys down to Orlando on December 1st. It'll be a week-long trip. They'll be there from December 1st all the way to December 7th. So if anybody would like to make a donation or help these guys get to Florida for the national championship, we truly appreciate it. We have a couple weeks to prepare and a couple weeks to raise the funds. And then we are looking forward to bringing that national trophy back to the village of University Park.
All right. I would like to say that I'm very, 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 very proud of you, each and every one of you, especially you, Coach Franklin. I mean, you're humble, you never ask for anything, you just always for the children. I was honored to be at your banquet Sunday, and you guys were just phenomenal. Everyone that missed that really missed the treat. It was really, you should have seen, it's over 200-some people there, just phenomenal. Every year they do so well. So if there's anything we can do, I'm gonna ask the chief and some other administrative people in the village if we could write some letters to our industrial park. And I already reached out to you and you gave me some content to put in a letter. So to see, and everybody that has anybody that knows anybody with any money, it's going to cost quite a bit to send these kids to Florida, and they well deserve it. Please, if anything you can do, dig deep, reach deep in your pockets, ask any organizations that you're with, please. And who are we supposed to make the checks payable to?
To UPYAA.
UPYAA, that will be announced on our cable station as well.
And we have a GoFundMe page set up on Facebook at Tutu the Coach. So if you want to donate on through the GoFundMe page, you can go to Tutu the Coach. And if you want to make checks payable, they will be payable to UPYAA. And we have about $8,500 to raise in about 3 weeks. So we can need as much support. But I already told the guys I won't take no for an answer. We're going to go. We're going to be there. So we've already received our invite from the tournament. We received the letters that they have to take to school so they can have excused absences. And Mayor, the boys appreciate your continued support because you have supported the program. And they know that you've made donations, whether it's been football or wrestling. So we do appreciate that. So as much support as we can get, this is the first time in University Park's history that the team has qualified for this national tournament. And that dates back to 1976. So this is, they've been recognized as the best varsity football team in the history of the Will Cook Kankakee League because their defense didn't get 1 point scored on them all year. So this is an awesome group of young men, and like you say, they definitely deserve to make this trip, and we're going to make it happen.
Okay, we'll reach out to our elected officials as well, higher elected officials, and show them what we have. Thank you guys so very much. I'm so proud of you. You represent University Park grandly, and you conducted yourselves Sunday night very, very, very good. I appreciate that. Most times they don't see that, Coach Franklin. Where's the news media to see all of these African-American young men doing so positively and afterwards there was no fights, no ruffling, no anything. Everything was fairly, properly done. And I am very proud of you. So we're going to do everything we possibly can to dig deep and ask a lot. Thank you all so much again. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, Mayor.
I'm sorry. Anyone else on the board?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Manager Pate, if there's some way we can squeeze some money out of the budget, like to give them the advance for next year's, whatchamacallit, maybe, we can, from a budget standpoint, we can just replenish that.
I'm not opposed to that, Trustee. I could look at that and provide a board with a generalized answer by the end of the week.
Okay, we want to make sure you go.
All right, I appreciate that.
All right.
Coach, can you explain to us the type of program it is? Is it JV? It's JV 7th, 8th graders, right?
Yeah, so
And-
it's the varsity level, so the guys are in either 7th or 8th grade. So the majority of these guys standing up here, with the exception of one, headed to high school after this year. The majority of these guys standing up here has been in the program since they were 4 or 5 years old. So they received what we call the Lionheart Award. So they've been consistently a part of our program since they were on the widget level, which is the babies.
Coach, I have to give it my hats off to you because of all of your dedication over the years, and you have actually put this motley crew together and did some great things, man. I'm very proud of you, academically and on the gridiron.
Right.
You have done that. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, and academically, I just want to say that these guys are being recruited by every school you can imagine.
Yes.
It's to the point where it's almost harassment. That's how serious the recruiting is with these guys. They can go anywhere that they would like to go. They have choices. They have options to go wherever they would like to go because of their GPAs and because of their excellence in athletics. So they've experienced something that a lot of kids haven't experienced. They've been taking trips and feeling real VIP because of these schools and different things. So it's been an awesome experience.
Okay. And we thank the parents. Go ahead.
My question is, can they explain to us all the trophies that you guys are holding, you know, how you got them? What are they?
Yep, absolutely. So they've been to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row.
All right.
They're the 2-time Super Bowl champs, 2 times undefeated. So their accumulated record is 47 wins and 2 losses over 4 years. They're currently 25-0. This year, like I say, the defense hasn't been scored on. The Tall Trophy is a Midwest Championship trophy that they won last year.
Show it to this camera.
Yeah, show it to the camera. That's the monsters of the Midwest. So that's all the best teams from the Midwest, Iowa and Ohio and Michigan, and different teams from there. These trophies also are monsters of the Midwest trophies. And then the one that Carmelo.
Come around to the camera so they can see the audience.
Carmelo.
All you guys with the trophies, come around. Yes.
And then this one here is the EAYF Thanksgiving Throwdown Tournament from last year's Kentucky National Tournament that they competed in and took first place in.
You know you're gonna be on TV.
And this one is this year's 2018 Super Bowl championship trophy.
Wow.
Nice.
Right. All the trophies, right?
Guys, won't you come on behind?
Yes. Come on.
That's good.
Worthington, come on up there. I've been reading about Worthington. Facebook, these fantastic. These guys are fabulous. That's right. Move your hands. You want the picture? Yes. All right, thank you. Congratulations one more time.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Can we see your names, the ones that are here tonight? Can you say your names on the mic right quick?
Go ahead.
Carmelo Steele.
Okay.
My name Joseph Lewis.
Hey, Joseph.
Hey.
Lionel Billups Williams.
Hi, Lynell.
Jeremy Thomas.
Hi, Jeremy.
Edward Clark.
Hi, Edward.
Marshall Misters.
James
Worthington.
Cool.
Demarion Pass.
Hi,
All
Mara.
right.
Davion Adams.
Xavier.
Joshua Franklin.
Joshua.
Franklin. Baby.
Carmelo Steele.
All right. Steel. Oh, I know the steel. All right. Thank you all so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll be letting you know something as soon as possible. Okay? Thank the parents as well, as they have a big part of it. Mr. James Worthington, thank you, sir. Among all of them. Mom's coming in late. That was a pleasant surprise. Anyone else?
Mayor, would that be the next day?
Yes. Oh yeah, next Bears, right? Go Bears. We have any other general public? Oh, come on, please. I didn't get a sign-in sheet.
Yeah, I didn't see a sign-in sheet when I came in, so that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there's some
Okay.
Hello.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
First, I wanted to say, I guess, well, I'm so elated after that, I can hardly speak, and usually I can just go ahead for what I have to say, but I'm really kind of overjoyed because some of those young people, just a couple, you know, I've known since they were widgets, and to see them accelerate to this level is just phenomenal.
Yes.
And also, I just want to say, but they're gone, but I still want to say it as a retired school teacher and a former coach myself. And I don't know anybody else up here. I know some other people probably coach too. It takes a lot.
It does.
It takes a lot. So my hat's off to you, Coach Stu, because it takes day, night, day, weekends. You sacrifice a lot. So I really congratulate the Lions on their academic excellence and on their athletic excellence.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention a few things. I hope I didn't take up my little 3 minutes.
Congratulations.
But I just wanted to address a few things concerning election issues, the past election that we had, and also the election that we're moving into in April. For the past election that we had, I just wanted to bring up something, and it was just brought to my attention that I guess there were just a few glitches. And one of them I want to bring to attention was when people were voting by mail, there were people who didn't actually get their ballot. And I understand there was some confusion on the day of the election when they actually came out to vote. So I just think that's something that we need to look into and make sure whoever's ever being trained understands how to handle that situation when a situation like that occurs. Okay, so it's really the voting by mail, and they didn't receive the ballot. I wanted to repeat that. And it seemed like there was just quite a bit of confusion regarding that. And they wanted to vote. All right, the other thing is that at the polling places, it's just a suggestion. So we know who's who. We have a lot of different people sometimes standing around, and we don't know who's who and what their position is or what they're actually doing there. It might be nice if they had on some sort of, I don't know, sticky badge or something that has something indicating, you know, what they're doing, if they're a poll watcher, something. It's just a lot of different activity going on. Don't know whether they can be done or not, but that's just one of my suggestions there, okay? So everybody knows what's going on. Getting to the upcoming election, just trying to understand a few things and up here for clarity. And I know that the village clerk had a packet at the village hall regarding this. I did read the packet. And I know that there's websites that we can go to, but it's nothing like one-on-one information. So I was just wondering, on the signature ballots, it says here that 5%, the number of signatures required for nomination is no less than 5%, no more than 8%. Somehow something was getting out in the community about 250 signatures, or I don't know where that came from. Just wanted to get clarity on that, because when I looked at the total number of ballots cast from our last election, it has on here 984, and I know that 250 is nowhere near what we should be saying when the total cast was 984. You have 1,000 votes, and 100 is 10%, so not quite understanding. So I'm just trying to understand that, how all that works. And this is why I'm thinking maybe, I don't know if we do some sort of workshops. I don't know, village clerk. I'm just questioning, because there's other things on here that I had questions about too, if we went down the bullet points for the independent statement of candidacy and loyalty oaths, things like that. Just things that perhaps a one-on-one conversation might clean up, or a group conversation for those who might be interested. Not saying I'm interested, not saying I'm not. I'm just saying that just need a little clarity. Okay? And on the last thing, when we're looking at the board, just have a question there regarding elections and people who are running. Just concerned about whether or not in the past we have had individuals on our board that were related to one another. Just asking the question and hoping I can get an answer tonight. If we haven't, I'm just wondering how that would be handled if we did find ourselves in a situation like that. Is that a form of nepotism? Just asking. Don't know. If someone else had a relative that wanted to be nominated, wanted to be a part of the board, and they're already on this board, how does that handle?
I never know. Me personally, I can't remember. Maybe the clerk could, because she's been a clerk for a while, but I've never known anybody to be related. I knew a long time ago the village manager, who was at Gurman, his wife was a trustee. But I've never known, I don't know where, I know. I've never known, to me, clarity. Maybe she could, she will address that, because I've never known anyone to be related.
Okay, thank you. Were you going to answer now or just
Any other? Okay. I'll start with your election issues. All of the things that you mentioned as far as at the polls, that comes under the jurisdiction of the Will County Clerk's Office. They appoint judges. They have poll watcher credentials that poll watchers should have. They check in with the judges at the polling places. The elections, the clerk is the local election official, but we set no rules, no guidelines. All this is done by the Will County Clerk's Office. As far as being identified, that could pose a problem as far as poll watchers wearing anything that could be considered electioneering at the polls. So if they had on a badge that said poll watchers, they would probably be questioned as to who are you poll watching for, because they do have to check in with the election judges. This too, the credentials are available only through the Will County Clerk's Office.
Clerk D. Jones, can I say something on that? With that also, what you just said, I agree. Is it possible a person can, poll watchers, I know for a fact, they do have to fill out forms, and they have to give them to the judges. So they do have paperwork on it.
Right. And usually, the reason I say you could run the risk of electioneering is that poll watchers have to be for a specific candidate. So if they had badges, they would probably have to have badges. And again, these rules are set by the Will County Clerk's Office.
So are you saying if I want, I'm sorry, not to go back and forth just real quick. So you're saying if I really want more specifics and more clarification, it would be probably best if I address the Will County Clerk's Office?
Right, those issues that deal with the polls,
okay,
the judges, the polls, those are governed by the Will County Clerk's Office, not on a local level. You had another issue about the packet that you picked up, that on it said no less than 5%, no more than 8% as far as signature requirements go. I don't know who you might have heard for 250, but if the candidate does the math, they would come up with something much less. I have said publicly, and I will continue to say, as your clerk, I will not give you a minimum number nor a maximum number of signatures required. The clerk has in the past been the most sued elected official for misinformation or information being misconstrued. So on the advice of councils at our academies, at our IML, and our local council, that information I will not give. I do give the website where the candidates can go to and get all of the information that they need. It would be inappropriate for me to hold sessions on how to be a candidate for office when in the letter that I prepare, I specifically say, information from the clerk's office is information only. It's not to be taken as legal advice. And I strongly recommend that any candidate contact an attorney before going into this process. Okay? The Will County Clerk's Office will tell you the same thing. You will probably get better information if you contacted the State Board of Election, and they will give you information on rules and regulations. And that, I don't know.
That's fine, that's good enough for me. That's what I'm looking for. If that's
Yes, I
inappropriate,
could not
it's
hold
fine.
workshops on that election process because it might be misconstrued that I'm giving misinformation. I strongly recommend that you contact an attorney or go on the website and pull down the candidate's guide. Okay.
Or go to Will County.
Well, no, the candidacy, the State Board of Election, that's why and we really should not be having this
That's
long
fine.
dialogue.
Right, thank you, I was gonna say.
That's fine.
Right, but you got my number.
Okay.
Please.
You know how to contact.
Okay. As a resident, I'm just asking, not trying to.
Thank you.
Ms. Taylor, if you need any help, you could also contact me. I'll give you my cell phone, my personal cell phone number, so you can contact me, and I'll help you with your packet if you're trying to fill it out correctly.
Well, I don't know what's appropriate. I'm just trying to stay with what's appropriate. Thank you. I'm just trying to stay with whatever they're saying is appropriate. I'm not trying to cross the lines. Just trying to make sure I get across the line.
Thank you. Okay. Any other, general public? Okay, hearing none, we'll go into our regular agenda. And thank you for that question. Business discussion items 5A1, discussion and ordinance amending a policy prohibiting sexual harassment for the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois. Is there a motion? I'm sorry, I'm so used to the board. It's discussion on this. It's open for discussion. Sorry. My first thing, well, nobody's saying, I'm glad to see it. It is one of the things that I know normal, my position and my job, it's mandatory that we take this every year, and it should be for the purposes of sexual harassment, the way the world is today, and people can be cautious of it. So I'm just happy to see it.
Mayor, just for the general public, this really is just a modification of the existing policy based on the change in state law from 180 days to 300 days. Right, that a person can file a complaint.
Right.
Right.
That was one of the regulations of CFR 2916. That's one of the regs of ELC's regulations that changed, giving them a little more time. Okay. So is this anyone else have discussion on this? Audience? Residents? Okay, is this something we'd like to put on the next agenda?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Trustee Williams? Yes. Thank you. All right. Clerk Jean Jones, you got that. Discussion for 5A2, ordinance and authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, and Board of Education of Homewood Flossmoor Community School District 233 for reciprocal reporting system. Would you like to open that up, Manager Pig? and explain that? So we can have a dialogue?
Basically, this authorizes the police department and the school district to share information. At this point, with the school districts as well as the police departments, if there are not any proper intergovernmental agreements in place to protect the police department and the school district from liability as far as sharing juvenile information related to any potential issues related to crime in the area, then it would be in violation of the law. This is a commonly sought solution. We currently have one with 201U. This is the only thing different for me on this is the first of its kind. I see another school district outside of our boundaries requesting reciprocal information, but I can see why that is needed with the entire controversy of the young man that got killed last week, and just being able to share information from different law enforcement agencies. So I see as time goes on, it is a necessity to kind of expand it, but the village customarily has entered into agreements with 201U for similar reporting. And that's just basically the police department being able to provide the school district information. If there's a fight after school, off school grounds, or something's going on with students, we're able to report that to the school districts or the deans or whoever does the intervention at the school is aware of what's going on, and vice versa. If something happens in the school or one of a UP resident is in that area or something occurs, it gives that school district opportunity to share information with us. So it's free-flowing information in both directions, not just one-sided.
Do you anticipate there'll be other agreements with, like, 227 and some of the other school districts as well?
After last week, I anticipate there's going to be several agreements with all the school districts in the area.
Okay. Is there a broad intergovernmental agreement that can be reached with all of the communities and all of the school districts in our general area rather than individually?
So at this point, I think that's something that needs to be ventured on. I know the police chiefs are meeting with 201U next week. We're supposed to meet this week, but they had something that went on last week. So it would be our request that we have a large intergovernmental agreement that address all the school districts in the area instead of the board having to approve agreements one by one. Just do one mass intergovernmental agreement with signatories for all the school districts in the area.
Anyone else? My concern is, okay, such as after-school basketball, baseball, and the fightings that goes on in case the event that we have one of our school children involved in that, then it'll be reported to, let's say it happens in another town, and then they will report that to you. The purpose of this is to let you know what they're doing, or what behavior pattern they do. I mean, how is that handled?
So, Mayor, to answer your question, crime, unfortunately, is not situated within a specific jurisdiction. It's kind of a regional thing. So this is not to target students or anything like that. This is to provide law enforcement in the school district with enough information to protect the students in the schools and for law enforcement to protect the students outside the schools. For example, if there was a large fight at the high school involving a University Park resident, as the police chief or director of public safety, village manager, or whatever title I would hold, I would want to know that occurred so I can have officers in the area where their young man stays at. Because typically when you have fights outside of schools, it typically floods to somebody's home. Either their home in University Park or it could be their home in Park Forest. So we want to make sure we have enough officers on the street, and there's a special interest issue such as gun brought to school or various different things like that. It's something we need to actually know about, to just be proactive. Not to target a child, but to be proactive for the safety of the residents of the village.
Right. Like the one thing that we had here with the young man holding a gun up, saying come to University Park soon. Things like that. Would that be an exchange with them saying, we had something posted, or one of our students, be aware, things like that? Okay. And also I know, Trustee Payton, for your information, the mayors are meeting, we meet every month, once a month on Saturday, first Saturday every month, and we are coming up with different committees, and one of them is the safety committees for all our chiefs. They have met together. We had 2 meetings with the police chiefs in all the South Suburban area for that reason, for protection, sharing their resources, sharing knowledge, what we're doing. So the mayors have agreed that what happens over here can happen over there. So we're already forming them to do something sort of like that. I mean, Chief Bates attended it. I think Deputy Chief Wilson will be attending as well, so they'll be a part of that safety committee. Thank you. Any others? It's agreeable that this go on the next agenda? Okay. Thank you. Almost last. Okay, discussion ordinance authorizing the execution of a cable television franchise agreement by and between the Village of University Park, Will, and Cook Counties, Illinois, and Comcast of Illinois and West Virginia, LLC. Is there a motion? I'm sorry, please forgive me, guys, I'm sorry. Is there a discussion?
Madam Mayor, I can speak on that. That actually is the renewal of the village's current franchise agreement. So pretty standard and complimentary, especially when we're looking at running the cable studio and fundings to get additional cameras and equipment. Just to explain to the residents what the franchise agreement is, it's similar to everybody else's bills, gas bill and light bill. There's going to be a small portion of the bill that will go towards the village, specifically for cable station operations, facilities, infrastructure, equipment, etc. That's really what it's for.
I had this discussion. I was in Miami a couple of months ago, a month ago, and I did visit the NBC Comcast in Mundo. It was a fabulous. I think we have one here in Chicago. And I talked to the owner of the head guy in Washington over Comcast, and I questioned him about this very thing. And he said that would be great. Any other things that he could help us with, he would let me know. This franchise something that we used to have many years ago, Trustee Milton Payton remembers it. It sort of gave us, the franchise would give us fundings. That's how we had our Young Broadcasters program. They gave us quite a bit of money. It was not quite a bit, but it was over $2,000 or $3,000. But it helped fund some of the equipment, and they were gracious enough to offer us some equipment. So Mr. Williams, the head chief of, because I think, what's his name?
Johan.
What's his name here?
Johan Fernando.
I'm sorry?
Johan Fernando.
Johan, right. He's the local guy. The head guy is in Washington. That's Mr. Williams. Very good friend of mine now. So he's offered to give us a list, actual list of things that we might need. So help us make our station whole again. So thank you about this. Is there an agreement to put this on the next agenda?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, this is it. Presentation 5A4, presentation by Bill Casper's Golf.
I don't know that it qualifies as a presentation, and it certainly isn't as exciting as a Super Bowl victory, but
right.
We wanted to bring you up to speed on a few things with the golf course. The first thing is to let you know this has been an epically bad weather year for golf.
Your name?
Oh, I'm Bill Rahanick with Billy Casper Golf. I'm accompanied by Brian Dober, who's the general manager at University Park. The weather this year has suppressed golf rounds for golf courses where we have very long-standing history, more than 10 years, in some cases more than 15 years. We are down about 15% on average in rounds of golf and revenue from prior year. University Park is not. University Park golf revenue and rounds are actually up over prior year, which we expected because we're still ramping up from the golf course being closed. Food and beverage continues to be a struggle. We are behind budget, so we are, for the winter, going into a layoff mode. We've talked to the superintendent, and he understands it, and he'll be rejoining our team in the late winter to early spring in a modified role. The mechanic will be taking a position with our other entity over at Forest Preserve Golf. We're taking measures to get the equipment for University Park worked on this winter via a crew we're going to have working over there. And this is all done because in the wintertime, we really can't generate much cash, but we can certainly spend it. So we're trying to do everything we can do to suppress the losses over the course of the winter. Going into the new fiscal year, we have a plan to split the general manager's role between 2 golf courses, split the superintendent's role between 2 golf courses, essentially saving 1 full-time salary, and continue to market golf rounds very aggressively. For food and beverage, we know that there's some desire to see a hybrid agreement between us and Redwoods, provided feedback to the village on what it would take to make that agreement happen. And we don't see any obstacles there. Our team is working on our agreement. We would need Redwoods to come to the table with their own agreement. We obviously can't manufacture their contract, but we are not standing in the way there. We know the challenges of food and beverage operation. If there's a belief in the village that somebody else can come in with a local flavor and a local flair and do a better job, we are here to help make that happen. We're not going to stand in the way of that. Yes, sir.
So you don't mind there's no problem in the transition with Mr. Small's organization and yours, right?
Not from our side. Mr. Smalls has some work to do, for sure, and we've helped to identify what that work looks like, and we will help any way we can in making it happen. But we...
So where do we stand right now at this moment?
At this moment, we are revising our agreement. So we'll come in the next week or so with a revised draft agreement which carves out food and beverage. We've identified the things that Redwoods would need to have. They're going to need to have their own, I'll give you some examples, I won't go through the entire list, but they're going to need to have their own timekeeping and staff. They're going to need to have their own workers' compensation insurance. They're going to need their own general liability insurance. They're going to need their own point of sale system because the cash registers that are there now report over into our revenue. So we're going to need to separate those 2 out, and then they'll have their own accounting. And we're going to have to work with the village on how we allocate certain expenses, utilities, and some other things. We can retain the property insurance. We can cover the entire building and the entire grounds under our policy, ask them to share the cost of that. So they don't need to retain property insurance, but they will need to come up with their own agreement. And I think our agreement, once it's in the village's hands, can kind of steer them in the direction of what that might look like in working with the village attorney.
Very good. Very good. I'm really happy to hear that. I have talked to him as well. They're very excited. Say they've talked to you guys. I sent an email. I love how we're working together to better the University Park and to keep it open, to bring a lot of things to it. You guys, well, I think you did a great job at the golf outings, especially mine. But it was really, really nice. People are very happy about our golf course, and if we can enhance it to make it even better for the summer. I talked to some of the pastors around, and they're really looking forward to the brunch after church because they say they'd even like to come for the members. So I think this is a good new win-win for University Park. Thank you for all the help that you've offered to them. And I know that they are talking to their attorneys, and I've seen some of the things in agreement of everything that you've offered and said. So I'm looking forward to that marriage to happen.
Well, anything we can do to help. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. Does anyone from the audience have any questions, concerns, comments?
What is your menu? What is the menu like for the restaurant? Because a lot of times here, my family looks for some place go like on a Sunday or something like that. I mean, what does it look like?
So the menu now looks like what you would expect to find at a golf course, more of a burgers and fries pub menu.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what Redwoods has in mind. I think they're looking to get a little bit more elaborate than that. The brunch menu has been pretty comprehensive, in fact, and lavish on some Sundays. But that is what Redwoods is coming in to do, is to revise that menu and I think make it maybe more contemporary.
The one thing I looked at was that basically you have a university right across the street.
Yeah.
And where are they going to?
Great.
That has been brought up many times, and the team has worked very hard to try and get the lunch crowd over from the university to some success. There has been some traction with that, but these guys actually come from the university and may have better inroads than we've had.
Okay. Any others? And thank you, Mr. Lynch, for that. We need all those ideas. Anyone else? Comments, concerns? Okay.
Madam Mayor, trustees, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate everything you're doing.
Thanks.
Keep it going. All right. Okay, my glasses. Okay, so is well, they'll be back for the discussion for Casper to come back at the next board meeting with finalizations, or what? How are we gonna do that?
Madam
Bring
Mayor,
this back?
we know we have a press schedule on this, so as soon as I get some feedback, it may be my request to request a special meeting if you want to get this expedited.
Okay.
Because of our schedule, we're passing things, the fourth Tuesday of the month.
Right.
There are revisions as well as Redwood, getting theirs done. We're cutting it very close.
Right.
That's why I emphasized in the email that it really needs to happen simultaneously, as
Right.
they stated. They need to be starting to work on their agreement now.
Right, right. Okay, so we have to have a special, we will. Okay. Great, I appreciate that. Okay. Bye-bye, thank you. Okay. So whatever, since there's on that, their agreements come together whenever, we will decide even to have a special meeting because it is getting the winter and they're ready to set up. I know that personally, they're ready to set up to go, and we're excited about that. The winter coming, we don't want to lose a month of revenue coming to the village. So I'm excited about it. It's something new and a good experience and good revenue because we don't want it to close and just do nothing. So, all right, with that said, that's the end of the agenda. And do we need to go into executive session? Okay.
Madam Mayor, I did have one question. We previously had a crime-free nuisance ordinance that was up for discussion, and that hasn't been placed back on the agenda. I was wondering if you would place that on the agenda for discussion in December.
Yes, sir. And also, while I was in Miami, I met a fantastic attorney there, and she has something that she said, and I will bring it to you for your review. I'll let you review it first before we add it to it. And she was saying I was talking to her about the crime-free housing, and because she made a presentation there, and it's something really strange about how it works, and you cannot do certain language that you have to put into it. And they found something that can go around the federal regulations so you won't get into any trouble with the fair housing, because some people say it could be discriminatory or whatever, and a cost factor or whatever. So she said she'd share that with us, and she got out of court. She did email it to me, so I'll email that. Did I email it to you? I will send it out to the board for everybody to look at, especially you, Trustee Oxnard, and look at it and see if you can embed it in yours, and we will have that in December. You're welcome.
Mayor?
Yes. Yes, sir.
As far as the crime-free...
Here, you can come to the mic. That's all right, Mr. Lynch.
As far as the crime-free addendum, the only thing I will add to that is that I'm a property owner in Chicago Heights.
Okay.
Okay? And I have a lot of rentals there, and I have also some in Park Forest.
Mm-hmm.
One of the issues that I ran into with both crime-free addendums in both of those cities, they're very biased, very one-sided. So if you're thinking about taking an example from either of those cities, please review it before we bring it to our city.
Right.
Because what ends up happening is that it doesn't do anything to help the landlord or the homeowner, but it does a lot to want to crush the renters, but doesn't do anything to help the person who they're supposed to be helping.
Wow.
Because a lot of times it is that, just to give you an example, it is that, okay, they want you to pay a fee to do this crime-free addendum, which is fine. We would pay this fee, and then what ends up happening is, what are we getting for this fee? The tenant comes around and do something real crazy. We go to the village and say, help me. This person is doing something for us. Well, you have to take care of it. So why am I signing up for something in your city that you're telling me to pay for, that basically tells me that when I turn to you for help, you're just telling me to tell basically that's your problem.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that if we're about to take an example from either of those cities, there's a lot of landlords that really want to help. They want to be with the city. They want to do the right thing. They want to do what they're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot of red tape where it is that they've tied them into those things that really that is not good for the landlord sometimes, but it's even worse for the city, because eventually they're the ones who will be faced with the burden of dealing with the problem that is presented to itself, so.
Madam Mayor, may I respond? Yes, first, I'm very sorry that you're having these issues in both Park Forest and Chicago Heights. I'm just familiar with Park Forest and what they're using it for and how it's used to target, you know, the crime elements in their city, in particular the high-rise apartment, for example, that they list as an example on their website. Okay. Now, you do realize that, you know, police services and city services cost money. That I believe there might be a discussion in regards to a increase coming soon. Yeah, an increase in our revenues and revenue sources.
All right.
So I understand that, you know, that it may be causing you some red tape, that you do have to pay a fee, but you know what, you also have to pay, excuse me, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry,
you also have to pay police officers to do their work. You also have to use it to target certain crime elements, and then you also put an onus on the landlord to remove what could be a troubled element in our community. I know we've had several robberies at the Family Dollar. If we start catching them and it becomes a repeat problem, perhaps we don't need these robberies at the Family Dollars, which would again increase our revenue. So I want you to look at the entire picture and not look at it as a small portion or a fee that you might have to pay. I want you to look at it as an overall system to make the community better, because it has worked in Park Forest. Okay. They have used it effectively. You can check their website, and we should defend and try and make University Park a better place. And you do that through creating policies and procedures that we can give to our administrators to implement, to come up with a plan to make our city better. That was pretty much it.
Okay, well, let me, I'm sorry.
Milton.
Your name?
Milton Lynch.
Nice name.
Just to come back to what it is that you're saying, the fee is not the problem. The fee is never the problem. But it's the implementation of what the program's supposed to help. It's supposed to help the homeowner, and it's supposed to help the tenant. If we're going to put something in place, all I'm saying is that if we're about to put something in place that really protects the village in a whole with the landlord and the tenant at the same time. But to hold the landlord to account, they will pay that money. But you have to give them something to say, hey, if you get into a problem, we got your back. Or if the tenant is not doing, because like I said, there's a lot of elements that is coming into our cities and villages that is running from the crap they created where they've been. They're coming to us for safety. If we do not implement good rules and good regulations and good policies, the same stuff they're running from is what they're going to bring here.
Right? That's what's happening.
You understand?
Again, when you say things like that, what you're actually trying to may imply that crime-free housing ordinance might be bad. I have to stress that has been implemented in a very good way in Park Forest, and that's a problem with leadership and the way that a program is implemented. And I have nothing but confidence in our village manager and our entire staff and our mayor, for that matter, that we will implement a good program that is effective for the Village University Park. The crime-free housing ordinance is a good thing. Or, as we're now calling it, the crime nuisance ordinance is a good thing. What we need to do is implement good things for the Village University Park. That includes a crime-free housing ordinance. Heck, even the name sounds good.
And that's what I'm saying. I think that we're saying the same thing, but I think we're going around it in a different way. All I'm saying is not anything bad. All I'm saying is just to make sure that we are looking at all elements to make sure that we implement it, that it could, Park Forest might be great. Let's make it better than theirs. You understand? Let's make it work for everybody, including everybody underneath the umbrella of the village. One of the things I mentioned to the mayor earlier was, can I have peeling paint on my house? No. I can't even let my grass grow too high. I'm kind of switching gears here a little bit. But you know what I can do? I can walk out of my front door with my stinking garbage and dump it in front of my house. Why? Did anybody realize that we can do that as a village? There's nothing on our books that tell me I cannot take that big, ugly, stinking garbage can and put it in my driveway before the sidewalk and leave it there.
Mayor? Yeah, Mayor.
Yes, Milton, please.
Yeah, just, well, first of all, there is an ordinance that you can only put your garbage cans out at a certain time, you gotta take them back in, but beyond that, yeah. Well, I mean, but they can't even, they're technically not supposed to be out at the curb before 7 o'clock the day before.
Okay.
But what I would like, since I think Trustee Brown used the Park Forest crime-free as kind of a model, and you're familiar also with Chicago Heights, if you have any recommendations as to how to improve the agreements, if you could submit it to our village manager, and then we'll be happy to take a look at it.
And that's all I was getting to.
But come to that board meeting.
By all means, because I'm not gonna lie, I used to come to these things so often.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of you guys here might know me.
yeah.
But I stopped because I felt that basically that we were not accomplishing the things that we needed to accomplish, because certain things that are very common sense, very meaningful, that anybody could agree upon, right? Just was not being addressed in the way that I needed it to be addressed in, because it's like, okay, just like I was telling you about, you know, you're talking about the garbage cans. I'm going to come back to that issue because it's a thing that is in my side that is just irking me. You said that we can't put it out to the curb. You're right. That is something on our books that said that we can't put it out to the curb. But if you go around University Park right now and you look at every other house, you will see that all of these garbage cans are actually being stored in front of the residents. You see them. Just imagine when it is you have too much garbage for that week. It's overflowing, right? Now, curb appeal is what we're all about, because we want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. When it is we can't get our grass growing or we can't get the paint on our house, it's all curb appeal, right? Why are we allowed to store those garbage cans in sight of a thing? You have McDonald's and all these restaurants that build big old houses around their garbage to hide them. Why are our residents allowed to just go ahead and store their garbage in front of their house?
In front of the house. On the side, I can see, or in their garages.
But it's out of, everybody know everybody got a toilet in their house, but nobody wants to walk into somebody's house and see the toilet sitting in the middle of the living room. That's not what it is that they want to see.
I got you.
Yeah, Mayor, just one final, just as a reminder also to the board, when we brought this crime-free lease issue up, first of all, we said there should be budget for it, but I have some ideas on that. But the second thing is that we were going to have a workshop with all of the general managers, particularly of the apartment complexes, since you know, probably half or more of our housing is multifamily housing. So you know, we wanted to provide the opportunity for all landlords to provide input once we established what the crime-free lease was going to be like. Right. So I mean, so that is part of it, and we were going to send notices to all of them and have a workshop on it and get their input as well.
And that's the only thing I will say is open it up so that
Yes, transparency is what we do on this board now. And in opening, we appreciate your comments and we act upon them. And the one from Florida that I have too is, it's not, they don't call it that. It's a more user-friendly one. So we're gonna pull and take away. We're just Trustee Oscar Brown's looking for examples. So I'm gonna bring that one as well, and we can just piecemeal and see what's the best that works for us. And like we said, we're opening up. We're having workshops more often now at this board. It's a fabulous board now, and we work together to try to solve the problem and work and hear you. We listen. We're listening. We're open. So thank you.
And that's anyway. I just wanted to
so much.
bring those
Appreciate
things to you guys. Okay.
Thank you so much. All right. With that said, we will motion to adjourn and go, I'm sorry, go into executive session. Okay.
Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn into executive session? To discuss collective bargaining negotiating matters between the public body and its employees and representatives under 5 ILCS 120/2, subsection C2.
Moved by Trustee Oscar Brown, was it? Yes. And second by Trustee McMullen. Roll call. Trustee Dorr. Aye. Thank you, Treasurer Dillard, for coming.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate you and your comments.